right, everybody. Welcome back to the Good Old Hockey Podcast. This is episode number 54. We are here talking hockey. We've got some interesting news, not just NHL today. We are a man of the people, and we're going to be talking about the PWHL for a little bit in one of these segments, but we also got some good news in terms of just some drama. We got Cutter Gauthier making his return back to Philadelphia. Got some new outdoor games scheduled for next season. NHL didn't listen to us because there's a certain matchup that I think would have been perfect down in Miami, but we'll get to there. But first things first, Alan and I last Tuesday to be exact, had the greatest game of beer league I think I've ever played. Alan, I think from what you were saying, how you felt, you haven't felt like that in a long time.
Yeah.
It was overall great game, great experience. Boys were buzzing. We had a 2-week break for Christmas, so we didn't get to play for 2 weeks. And I was kind of expecting to come back and be sucking air, but we were rolling 5D and I was fine. And I played really confident and I felt almost scored. I hit the fucking crossbar. Really depressing. But Alan, take the floor because you had a Askarov-like play. You're playing like Askarov last week.
That was a pretty damn gross game by me. I think
That's
at least
you stood on your head.
Took a 4-1 win. I think we did like slightly outshoot the other team, but I toe dragged a guy in net.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
Yep.
Gave the puck away right after, but I toe dragged a guy, so I don't really care. I think I was just I was so in shock that I pulled it off. I was like, "Oh, what do I do now?" I was not expecting that.
I've never gotten this far.
Passed it straight to the other team's defenseman. I think they got a shot on net. I got back in, but
yeah,
it was a great time.
Yeah, we talked about it, and the only reason why was because you didn't get enough lift on the puck. That's the only reason why. If you would have had lift on it, I think there was someone cutting up. You could have had a gross breakaway.
It was the captain Victor was skating up the wing, and I like hesitated too much, and I like went to shoot it, and then I was like, wait, no, I can't. I got to do it anyways, and then I just kind of passed it to the other team, but it ended up working out. It was a fun game.
That was a fun game. You played amazing, and
thank you.
There were some points where I was like, it was just like back and forth, and I was like, shit, they're gonna score like right now. And then you would just come up with an amazing save, and I was like, okay, well, like there was one, Alan like scoops it behind his back right on the red line. It was one of those plays that I think every goalie dreams of. But he just reaches back and scoops it, comes right out into the middle of the crease. I see it right in front of me, and I just flung it down the ice because I was just scared. It was just right there. But overall, great game. Had so much fun.
Great
game. Yeah, and outside of that, week was, pretty mellow. Wasn't anything crazy. Wait, not for you though. How was your weekend?
Interesting time. My weekend was great. Work sent us to a little known place called Jackpot, Nevada. He gave us some money on the bus to gamble with.
Yeah, which if you guys don't know, you probably don't know, Jackpot, Nevada is right on the border of Idaho and Nevada, and it's about 3 hours away from us. So, it's full-fledged, full-ish casino.
So there, I think I counted 6 buildings in that town, right?
Yes.
And 3 of them are casinos. One of them used to be a casino.
Yep.
At one point in the night, I was down about $500. So I retired to my room, defeated. Woke up in the morning. I was like, "Nah, you know what? I ain't leaving like that." Pulled out $60, stuck it in a blackjack machine. And like 4 minutes later, I was up to like $700. Cashed out, won a little bit more money. So we ended the trip up about $400, which I was pretty happy with, being that I was down $500 the night before. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Even if you were down, what did you say you were down 500? If you walked out of there like even, I would have called that a great day. But the fact that you were up is like
this is a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
sitting
think
there.
I'm gonna chase. I think I'm gonna
I
chase
like.
that feeling now.
So I was sitting there in bed, right? Woke up that morning. I was like, shit, I just lost $500. I'm either going to get even or get even worse. I ended up getting even and even better.
Yeah.
That was funny.
That's all
It's a
you
good
asked
time.
for. Yeah. Yeah.
It's free vacation for a day, so I don't mind that.
Yeah. That too. Yeah. I think you learn why gambling can be so addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going back to a casino for a while.
Yeah. Once you there's been moments where I have those. I've had a couple of those stories where you're down a lot, and then you come back,
Mhm.
and you're like, "Whoa, I could have been in a really bad spot if I
The
didn't get
elation.
super lucky." So
It's
I'm gonna cool it.
fantastic.
Yeah, but
It was really funny.
know,
Quick side story. So I got my one of my general sales managers was walking around the floor. It was the morning after I had just won I think I was up from the night before like $900 at that point, right? So I'm buzzing. I walk up to him. I'm like, "Listen, Brian, I found an infinite money glitch. So here's what you do: you take $20, you stick it in the blackjack machine, you play for 4 minutes, and you cash out, and you win $150, right?" And he goes, "I don't believe you." I'm like, "Here, come here, show me. I'll show you." I put $20 in the machine, cashed out at $147 after like 2 minutes of gameplay, and I then proceeded to lose that in the next 10 minutes. But either way, he believed me. I was like, "Dude, I'm telling you, it works every time. It's infinite money. It's free."
Yeah.
But yeah,
free money.
either way, it's a good time.
Yeah. 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 Gamble responsibly. Anyone listening, we're not advocating to gamble with what you're comfortable to lose, is what I always say.
Yeah.
And if you lose that, take out your rent money.
Pull out $20, put it in the blackjack machine.
Yeah.
Play for 3 minutes and you're golden.
Yeah. Also, if any of you have ICCU, ICCU only has one. Well, not one, but if you go over your overdraft, it's only a $25 charge. So you take out 500 again. As long as you make 525, you're even. So
dude, money right there.
Yeah, infinite money glitch.
That's some
ICCU
great
hates me.
advice.
Please, anyone listening, do not
gamble
listen to any of that.
responsibly, please.
Please gamble responsibly.
There's no infinite money glitches.
No, we were kidding. This is all
I got very low.
Yeah. But enough about gambling. I mean, we could go a whole podcast about gambling, but we won't for the sake of my bank account. But we've been doing this pretty much every week, except for when he's hurt. We got an Ovi check-in. Scored another goal this week. So he is what, 22 goals away?
22, I think, right as of right
22?
now.
There's an interesting stat, Alan, that you texted me. And I want you to share it with everyone listening what that stat is.
So the Washington Commanders, any of you guys watch football? I'm sure a lot of you guys do. A lot of the 17 people who watch this podcast. The Washington Commanders beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the other night. This was last night, I believe, correct? Last night or 2 nights ago?
Yes.
That was last night. They beat the Washington Commanders in overtime. Washington Commanders beat the Bucs in overtime. That was their first playoff victory since they beat since they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2006. Alexander Ovechkin has scored 848 goals since that day. So he was 25 goals into his rookie season. The last time Washington Commanders won a playoff game, or it was the Redskins at that point in time. That was kind of a word fuck. Do you want to restart this?
No, that was good. Yeah. Basically, this is what was read. 848 goals for Ovechkin in between the Commanders' 2 playoff wins. Alan did a very long-winded way of explaining that. But
Jesus.
Yeah, since the last time the Commanders won a playoff game till now, Alex Ovechkin scored 848 goals, which is, I don't know if it's more nuts. Impressive, the drought for Washington or Ovi. I mean, I think it's Ovi, clearly.
Yeah. Scored 850 goals in 19 years.
Yeah,
that's pretty nuts. But
and then to not win a playoff game, and
mhm.
I would probably not want to be alive if I was a Commanders fan.
Ooh.
And if you are, you probably hate us for talking about or even just mentioning that. But had to
Hey,
be
they're
said.
still in the playoffs this year.
They are,
Still a
and they
chance.
have a good team.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels is a monster.
Nasty.
Yep.
Gonna be nasty
So
for 15 years.
exactly,
We get
y'all
it.
got a lot to be happy about. But the other topic at hand, Cutter Gauthier makes his return to Philadelphia. For those of you that don't know, I feel like most of you do, but Cutter Gauthier was drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers. And around this point last year, he not even like demanded a trade, but more of just would not talk to the Flyers at all. And like basically kind of insinuated that he wasn't going to sign with them. Now I'm sure there's a lot of backstage stuff that we don't know about. I don't know everything. We only do have speculation or just stuff that's been released. But yeah, he said that he did not want to play for them. His agent mentioned that there was discussion due to a private issue between Gauthier, his family, and the organization, which they chose to keep confidential. That was then leaked out into the public. There was some other stuff too. I mean, the way the Philly media handled it too was not the greatest. But regardless, Philly fans were not happy to see him, which I do not blame them at all. Regardless of what happened on the interior, to be a like 19-year-old and just being like, I don't want to play for you. You haven't even played an NHL game yet. It's just kind of nuts.
Yeah.
So the fans let him hear it, and it got loud. There's plenty of videos you can look up. One of the chants they started yelling was "Jamie's better," because the Ducks traded Jamie Drysdale for Cutter Gauthier. So
Scored the first goal of that game too.
that too. And Cutter
just added.
Yeah. Cutter had 0 points too. So he
Yep.
didn't score a single goal. But the next night, what did he do?
He put up 2 points, including the OT winner against Carolina. Then it was an interesting. I don't know if you saw that clip, but it was an interesting celly after that.
Yeah, what did he do?
Like went down on one knee, but it was just kind of strange how he did it.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of tweets and posts and stuff about how he showed up on the wrong night. He circled the wrong date on the calendar because he said something about that early in the season. I just thought that was funny. The
That is
NHL
funny.
community is hilarious.
No, they are. I mean, I feel like, I don't even know. I can't imagine what it would be like to play in a situation like that, but to have the entire arena, and they booed him like the minute he stepped onto the ice for his first shift, even in warmups. Like he walked out in warmups, and I think also the minute his foot touched that ice, the entire arena is just booing him.
Yep.
Which that's how Philly fans are. You guys are crazy. I respect it. Just like you are for football, basketball, everything. Y'all are crazy. And I respect that because I do, I like a little bit of a crazy fan base. I kind of wish the Sharks were a little more diehard, but they can be. But it's not like Philly. Nothing like it.
Yeah. Nothing's like Philly sports fans.
Yeah. The city of brotherly love.
I've had a bunch of coworkers over the years that are Philly fans. And like I've had coworkers where you find out what teams they watch, like, a year after you meet them.
Yeah.
Everyone I've met that is a Philly, like an Eagles fan, Flyers fan, anything like that, instantly. You are told immediately.
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny. They wear their jerseys, they rep their city, which is awesome. But yeah, honestly, I respect the boos out of Philly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm a Sharks fan. I don't like the Ducks, but
yeah, that's my thing. Yeah.
I respect the boos out of Philly.
I do. I really do. So good for them. Cutter, it's going to be a long career there. Luckily, they only play them twice
a year.
Twice a year, and they're only one in Philly. So not going to happen too often, but maybe we'll get like a Stanley Cup final game series against those two. Would be crazy. but I don't see either of those teams making the finals anytime soon. So I would say they're going to forget it, but they're not going to forget it.
Yep.
But moving on to the PWHL for you ladies listening out there. We're talking about the PWHL.
All two of them.
Yeah.
My mom and your mom.
Yep. Yeah. Hey guys. So PWHL, we haven't actually, I don't think ever had I think me and Gally may have early when it first started. But this season we have not talked about it at all, but it is definitely worth talking about. These girls can play puck. These girls are fantastic. I've, people that have said things to me or asked about it, they kind of just assume it's on the WNBA level, which I will say those girls cannot ball. They'd kick my ass in a game. I know, Alan, you might not believe that. But...
No, they wouldn't. We've had conversations. All right, quick hot take here. Quick hot take. Clip this, put this on the internet. I'm sure I'll get some hate. Now, I quit playing basketball when I was 12, right? Yeah. I played all throughout elementary and middle school, right? I was always good because I got my growth spurt early. I was like, I think I was 12 years old. I was like 6'2", right? And I was really skinny, but I was like okay at basketball up until that point. I was pretty good for that age, but like I was okay fundamentally at basketball. I stopped playing because everybody else started catching up in height, right? And when I had trouble rebounding the ball, I was like, there's no point in me playing this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm still convinced that our friend group here could probably beat a Division I NCAA women's basketball school in a game to like 21. I think the lungs would start to catch up after a while, but I think in a shorter game, we're probably balling on them. I'm convinced.
I disagree.
1v1, I'm beating most of them. I don't care.
Yeah.
Anyways,
sure. I mean, I'm not, as long as I'm not in that starting lineup and maybe some basketball players. But regardless, the message is the PWHL is awesome.
No, these girls are sick.
Yeah, they are. But there was some record attendance that was set in Denver, which does not have a team yet. There was 14,018 individuals at Ball Arena in Denver, where the Avalanche play. It was the Montreal Victory and the Minnesota Frost. The Frost won 4-2. And there's a lot of stuff on the internet or some videos of the game, and the fans were chanting, "We want a team." Yeah. So there's a definite want for it. I've personally never watched a game live, but I've seen a bunch of like recaps, highlights, all that stuff, and those girls are awesome at what they do. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably not a sellout, but it's definitely, what was it, record attendance in the U.S. So
it was record attendance in the U.S. So they sold 14,018 tickets in Denver, which I've been to Ball Arena. I watched an Avalanche game there last year. That game, by the way, sucked. The Avalanche got shut out. I think it was 7-0 by the Jets. All I wanted to hear was the Avs goal horn because the goal horn's sick. I also wanted to see McKinnon and McCarr go off, but nope, got shut out 7-0. It was a blowout. Wasn't even fun. But that's damn near full at that arena. I want to say their arena seats like 18 or 19,000
Yeah,
people.
I was going to say.
So I just looked at a stat, which is actually kind of crazy. I think most hockey fans are familiar with, the NHL, the AHL, and then the ECHL being the third tier of American pro hockey. The PWHL is currently outselling the ECHL by a good bit. Average attendance in the ECHL, there are 3 teams that are above the league's average attendance for the PWHL this year.
Wow.
The rest of the 20-something teams sell way less, including teams like the Iowa Heartlanders and Wheeling Nailers, who last season sold an average of 2,000 and 2,300 tickets a game. So the PWHL selling out 7,000 tickets minimum a game is kind of crazy. 14,000 seats in Denver. That's pretty awesome. They're chanting, "We want a team. We want a team." We want a team. It's pretty cool. Good to see.
Yeah.
I think it's great to see for just the growth of the sport.
Yeah.
You don't really see before the PWHL came around. I couldn't even tell you what the Professional Women's League was called. I really don't know, but I think women's sports in general are growing. The National Women's Soccer League is getting pretty big.
Yeah.
We actually know somebody who plays in that league. Shout out Naomi
We do.
Girma. You're nasty at soccer.
Yeah.
She's
in
but
the
it's just
Olympics.
cool. Yeah, she was one of the best players in the U.S. women's team, which is unreal. I remember I raced that girl in like the second grade, and I beat her in a foot race. So I'm thinking that's my grave.
I would.
It's my
I didn't
crowning
beat her,
achievement
but
right there.
yeah, that's hilarious.
Pretty cool to see.
No, it is. I didn't know about that ECHL. I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, what does Idaho Steelheads probably sell? What, 7,000?
Not even it. The Steelheads
It's a
are
small
like
arena.
is that the arena only seats like 4,500 people.
Okay, yeah.
The Steelheads. Let's see here. This is 23-24, so this is last season, but they average 5,100 seats, 5,200 almost.
Okay.
So the average PWHL game is outselling the Steelheads by 2,000 seats, which I think is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty good, pretty awesome. I think it's pretty cool for women's sports in general.
Yeah.
You
said that, you're like pretty awesome for women.
There's some other news that came out of the PWHL this week. So I believe it was last night. The New York Sirens played a game against the Toronto Scepters. I believe they won 1-0 in overtime. Riveting gameplay. And Jesse Eldritch, scored the game-winning goal in overtime. However, upon a replay, she was at least a foot offside, 2 feet offside, which is interesting because there's no video replay for offsides in the PWHL. And I've been seeing some stuff on Twitter, how people who are watching the PWHL pretty religiously talking about how they want offsides reviews. I know your opinion on this. Let's hear it.
I think that offside reviews are completely stupid. I think that it's one of those, like, you can't review penalties. You can review for the severity of the call in terms of like ejection, stuff like that, but you can't go back and look. It's one of those things where it's like, if you miss offsides as a linesman, then you're not a good ref. Like, I know it's a very fast game and like things happen. It's not an easy thing to call, but that's like an umpire missing a strike when it's like, that's what makes the game fun. Like, if it's perfect, I'm just like, I don't care. Especially when it gets waved off because of a goal, because they're not going to go back for a random play when the play stops to be like, oh, yep, offside. But they call it and then they review it. Like, say they call a goal and then they're like, oh no, challenge for offsides. I think that's just really stupid. And if you were to do that for, like, I get it in the sense of the fact that you don't want to call offsides, or like refs maybe let the play go on and can look at it later, but that's just a lazy way of doing it. Like, either call it or don't call it offside. Don't go back 30 seconds, 40 seconds and call an offside. It's just stupid. Get rid of it.
I think so. First of all, we're going to get, if you clip this and put it on TikTok, we're going to get a bunch of just rule nerds who are like, oh, it's offsides, it's offsides, I don't care. Right. But I think it does one thing, which is a big negative for the game. It slows the game down like exponentially. We've had, I mean, I think goal reviews make a little bit more sense, but when you have goal reviews that take 5-10 minutes, right? Or you have offside reviews that take that long, it just slows the game down so much, right? And then if you really think about an offsides play, right? The point of offsides is so people aren't cherry picking. You don't just have a guy in the offensive zone at all times, right?
Yeah.
That's standing there for a breakaway on the goalie. If you have to slow a clip down to a frame by frame section, right? And look at it ultra zoomed in, did it really affect the play? No. And that's like there you get the occasional goal where you're a foot 2 feet offsides, right? Like there was that Matt Duchene goal a few years back where he was like at least halfway into the zone and somehow didn't get called back for offsides, right? And that was in the playoffs. That sucked. Or it might not have been the playoffs, but it was like a late game in the season for like standings determination. I forget what it was, but you get those rare plays, but 95% of the time it's like you're looking at if a guy's skate was touching the ice and it's a millimeter off the ice, or you're looking if the puck, if you see a little white sliver of ice in between the puck and the blue line, does that affect the play at all? No. Realistically, no, not at all. So why are we taking, and those are the ones that take the longest, that slow the game down the most.
Yeah.
You're like, this doesn't affect anything.
No.
This does not affect how the play turned out whatsoever. And you're taking 10, 15 minutes to review this. It's pointless. It just slows the game down.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think a little middle ground we can resolve here because they're not going to get rid of it, I don't think. But I think like middle ground would be put like not even a time limit, but like
I think so.
It has to be overwhelming evidence. If you have to zoom in and go frame by frame, it's not offside, or you missed it.
Yeah. I just think there should be like, give it like a 2-minute timer on the review, right? If it's a blatant call, you're going to get those back that are like, oh, that's a terrible call, right? That guy's 8 feet into the zone. He's cherry picking. This is why offside's a thing. You're going to catch those instantly. You don't need 2 minutes to review it, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a play that it's like you're sitting there taking 15 minutes to review, it didn't affect the game.
Yeah.
So why are you doing it just to, oh, well, rules are rule, offsides. No, shut up, nerd. I don't care. Just can play hockey, dude.
Yeah.
It takes out the human. It's like the robo umpires. They're trying to get done in the MLB. It's in the minor leagues now. It's like takes away the human aspect of the game.
That too. And like how cool it is that catchers can like manipulate it to make it look like it's a strike. Like that's cool to me. That's all like strategy. Skill. It's a skill. Yeah, that they've been working on their entire life. And if you replace the umpire with the robot, it's not. I know the world's headed towards AI and shit, but for sports, we need refs. As much as we hate them, we need them.
Love to hate
just
them.
To make it. Yeah, you could play if you want a robo call. Go play fucking NHL 25, and you'll get it called every time when it's correct.
Exactly.
But that's not what we're doing here. We're playing sports. So I mean,
that
overall,
really bugs me. I hope the PWHL doesn't go to it. I hope the NHL puts like a time limit on them.
Yeah. Just review those ones that are very obvious. If the ref, but even then, it's like, why did the ref miss that if he's a foot offside?
The other thing they don't have, which I find really interesting, is there's no reviews for icing. But I don't know if you've ever like sat on the red line in a game, whether it be a pro game or what. Well, we're talking for pro hockey. So like for a pro hockey game, I don't know if you ever sat at a Steelheads game or a Sharks game, like on the red line.
I don't think I've sat like on it. No.
Half of the time when guys are dumping the puck in, you get the puck to the red line, then you dump it in.
Yeah.
Half of the time they're shooting it well before the red line. They're like a foot or two before the red line. And it's like the puck's off their stick, but they're like crossing over the red line. Refs wave it off, no icing. Why don't you have reviews for that shit if the rules matter so much?
True.
Like if you need to be so exact, you can look back. There's like plays you watch live hockey, and the refs or the commentators will be talking about how they're really experienced defensemen. They don't even need to get it to the red line. They just make it look like they got it to the red line, and it's like, why are we reviewing offsides for a skate blade being on the ice then?
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's a little bit unnecessary, I think. And like we said, I think middle ground, give them a time limit. If they can't really determine it in under a minute 30, then it's not that it doesn't affect it that much. Like it really doesn't. And I think truly like these refs should just be on it. And like, if you think it's offside, call it, blow it. Don't let it play out and see what happens. I get that angle, but like it's coming to a point where these offside reviews are just so atrocious. And soccer doesn't do, soccer heads, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think soccer reviews offsides. The ref calls it and they call it, and that's it is what it is. If they don't call it, they didn't call it.
Typically, soccer refs are pretty damn good at it, though. They're
True.
pretty damn good at recognizing offside.
And I will say, out of all the leagues in the country, the U.S., the NHL refs,
big four, big five.
Yeah, the NHL refs I think are the best. In terms of just how, and it's not that like they're amazing because they're not, but just because of how bad the NFL refs are, NBA, college football, I guess too, but football, and umpire. Like we have it good in the NHL, but we want to keep it there. That's what we're doing here. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments if you like offsides. Are they good? Are they bad? Offside review. Let us know what you think.
I think the NHL should just be like roller hockey. There's no blue lines. It's just all offensive or defensive zone. I think that'd be awesome. There's no offsides. Let guys cherry pick. Fuck it.
Yeah.
B-ways all day.
Yeah. True. It might.
I don't actually believe that.
No. I was gonna try to play devil. No, can't.
I'm just talking on my ass.
But we also got some news about the Winter Classic next year, which open to you guys. You can get Alan and I there next year because this podcast is so successful.
Yep.
We got 2 outdoor games in the state of Florida, which I know people were talking about these last couple months, like a possibility of it. It happened. The first one is the Winter Classic with the Panthers and the Rangers. Then the second one is the Stadium Series with the Lightning and the Bruins.
That one is next year, though. That's the 2026 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series, I believe.
Correct. So is the Panthers and Rangers.
Oh, I thought. Oh.
Well, it's 20.
I forgot what year it was. That's brutal.
I was like, well, yeah, that's next year.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, I guess, it is played on January 2nd now, the Winter Classic, instead of.
Yeah.
Technically, we didn't even have a Winter Classic in 2025.
Yeah, we didn't.
Because it was played on the 31st. Sad.
We already had that conversation. I don't know why the hell. Whatever.
Yeah, January 2nd. That's I think it's a Friday because my birthday is the day after that, which is a Saturday next year. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So it'll be cool. Maybe a little birthday thing. Get down there to the Winter Classic. It's in Miami too. So they're playing. I thought it was going to be at where the Miami Dolphins play, but it's actually going to be at the Miami Marlins Stadium, which has a retractable roof. So potentially we could have the first, if the weather's bad, they're probably going to close it, I'd assume. It's Florida. You never know. We could potentially have the first indoor stadium game, I guess you could say. I don't know if any of these stadium series have been played in a dome before, but this one's a retractable roof. So I'm assuming what's going to happen is, everyone's like, oh, you're going to be playing on water. It's the NHL and they have millions of dollars of infrastructure to keep that ice cold, and they're going to close the top off during the day. And it's probably going to be played pretty late at night in Miami.
Yeah.
And then they're going to take that roof off. But if it's raining there, who knows? Which would be kind of crazy. But
we talked about this right before the Winter Classic. The episode that got released, I think it was the day after the Winter Classic, but we recorded it the day before. And we were talking about get some new matchups going, right? It seems like it's the same teams every year. Now, you have a different opinion on this than I do, but I think there were a couple missed opportunities with these games. I don't think of the Bolts and the Bruins as rivals, nor do I think of the Panthers and Rangers as rivals. However, I do think of the Panthers and the Bolts as rivals, and I do think of the Panthers and the Bruins as rivals.
Yes.
Now, I had said make a Tampa, Florida Winter Classic, right? Yeah. Both these teams got outdoor games, which is great, but they're playing the wrong teams. You think it should be Panthers, Bruins. I think that would make a whole lot more sense than Panthers, Rangers. I don't particularly care to see the Rangers play any hockey games, let alone in a stadium series or Winter Classic.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I'm glad they listened to us. I know they were listening to our feedback that one episode.
They tuned in.
They tuned in. And they heard that they want some new matchups. So, Bolts and Panthers, like that's awesome. They got Winter Classics. I'm excited to see what the Panthers come out with for some jerseys. But yeah, I mean, Panthers and Bruins would have been perfect. That would have been I would have seriously considered to go to that game if it was Panthers and Bruins, just because of how, I mean, they played the other night. Saturday. Great game if you guys didn't watch that. Panthers scored like last second of the third period, and then Bruins won in like the last second of overtime. Those games against those two teams are always fantastic. And then the Winter Classic, like the Panthers Rangers was a good series in the playoffs last year. But you guys you had it. You were so close, NHL. So close. Panthers Bruins Winter Classic would have fed families, generations, legacies, bloodlines. Like it would have just been awesome. And I'm kind of just I guess we're kind of begging for too much, but we're always going to keep you honest, NHL. And I know you guys are listening.
So I do find it pretty funny that the NHL has some work cut out for him for keeping the ice set. So the average high temperature in February in Tampa, Florida is 75 degrees. Now, there have been outdoor games in Southern California and in Northern California, right, where it doesn't get much colder than that, right?
Yeah.
But it still does get colder than that. It's also nowhere near as humid.
The humidity, I didn't think that.
I'm just curious how that's going to work, if they're going to have to freeze the ice over like weeks and weeks, or what's going to go on. I can imagine humidity probably doesn't do wonders for freezing.
Yeah. Because February 6th is around Super Bowl time, I want to say. Yeah. So even if the Buccaneers are, because it's at the Buccaneers Stadium, so even if the Buccaneers are playing in the playoffs that far, which, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but
hey, Baker could go on a run.
He could, and I'm praying for him, but I don't think that's not going to be an issue. So they'll have time with the ice. Obviously, Panthers and Miami baseball isn't played in January, December, so plenty of time there. And I think with that retractable roof, it'll help them out. The Buccaneers Stadium's interesting though, and in Tampa Bay being that warm, I'm honestly I'm curious. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. There's a lot more science, I'm sure, that they know than we do about how to keep that cold. What they're going to do, I don't know. I'd be interested to see. But, I mean, overall, I think they're definitely getting it. Having it in Florida, both those games is cool. The state of Florida has gone to the Stanley Cup final since the year 2020. So you can't say it's not a hockey state. I mean, they've also won 1, 2, 3 Stanley Cups in the last 4 years.
Yep. So
aside from Vegas, was it?
Vegas is the only other team that has won. Vegas and the Avs.
That's
5 years.
Yeah. So 3 cups in 5 years. They definitely, it'll be cool to see. I hope that, because I mean, Panthers are definitely selling out now. I think they've got a more of a fan base, especially when you win a Stanley Cup. That always helps. And I mean, I think just Miami in general, if you've got an outdoor hockey game to go to, even if you're not a diehard hockey fan, that's still super cool to go to. So,
oh yeah,
I think it'll be interesting.
There'll be a lot of parties going on before and after.
Oh yeah,
should be a good time for anybody who's in the area.
Yeah,
or if the NHL wants to send us.
Yeah, they should. I mean, we gave you guys the idea to get away from typical teams.
I put the NHL on outdoor games in Florida. I just did.
You did.
It's a fact.
It is a fact.
Can't argue facts.
Nope. Go watch 2 weeks ago, go watch the episode from 2 weeks ago, and you'll see that Alan put the NHL on outdoor games.
That's facts.
Heard it here first.
Specifically in Florida. The
Yes.
first outdoor games were
Yes.
played like before I was alive. Pretty
Yeah,
sure the
I
first
guess.
hockey game I ever played was outside.
I don't know, I still think you put it on.
1800s.
I think you
Yeah, I
put
put
it
them on it. I put them
Yeah.
on. I retroactively put them on it.
Yeah. The NHL though. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all us. So that's what you get when you're watching the Good Old Hockey Podcast. And yeah, thank you for watching this episode. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Good Old Hockey Podcast. Follow me on TikTok at Sean Deauville, even though TikTok might get banned in the next 6 days. So that's really awesome because we were getting some traction on there, and now TikTok's shutting down. So
are they actually shutting down?
I don't know. I mean, it's this bullshit they always do every year. It seems like around January where they're like, oh, we're going to shut down TikTok. So we'll see if it actually happens. But if not, go follow us on Instagram, all that fun stuff. And yeah, anything else before we get out of here? Gamble responsibly. Don't take any of that advice we had earlier.
No, gamble irresponsibly. Get back or get even or get even worse. There you go.
Correct.
That's my one tip for the week. Go have fun, boys. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't put yourself in debt.
No, don't do it. Not worth it. It's fun in the moment, but if you lose, it's not fun. So
not at all.
Everyone, thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.